This is a SEIKO SKX009, and this watch is about 5 years old. And this is my brother's watch. And today we will put it on a Timegrapher to find out how accurate it still is. My brother bought the watch firsthand and he was wearing it almost daily. According to the serial number, the watch was built in July 2017, which totally makes sense because that's the year he bought it. He is still very happy with the watch and did not complain to me about any issues or inaccuracies. He's been swimming, hiking and biking with the watch on a regular basis, so I can assure you that this watch has not been babied and has seen actual wear. The movement in this watch is a SEIKO 7S26 movement, which, aside from the fact that it doesn't have hand winding and a hacking second, is a pretty good movement and has been in the SKX line, I believe, from the beginning, from 1996 onwards. And here you can see it in another watch from a SEIKO 5 line. So how does it actually perform after about 5 years of authentic wear? What can we read on the Timegrapher about the condition of the 7S26 movement in this watch? The first impression in a dial-up configuration is actually pretty good. It's surprisingly good. I've dialed in the correct lift angle of 53 degrees, and the watch does about -6 to 8 seconds a day. It varies a little bit. The amplitude is pretty good at 270 degrees, and, well, the beat error is 0.1 milliseconds, which is absolutely totally fine. So, that looks pretty good, doesn't it? If we switch the position of the watch to a upright position with the crown on the right side, the change in the rate is not necessarily significant. The beat error has actually improved to 0.0, which is surprising. The watch seems to be going a little slower. However, the amplitude is a little bit low at around 220 or 230. In that position, it could be a little bit more. If we put the watch in a kind of in-between position where it's not totally upright, but it's also not flat down, the change in the rate is not dramatic. The beat error is still extraordinarily good at 0.0 milliseconds, and the amplitude has gone up a little bit, and the rate has stabilized at -15 seconds a day, which is totally acceptable. Interestingly, the best performance this watch has is when the watch is upside down. That's when both amplitude and beat error are extraordinarily good and the rate is good at 0 to about 3 seconds a day. So everything looks great, doesn't it? Well, there's one thing that I came across that confused me a little bit. If we look at this stable rate in the upside down position, and we look at it for a longer time, we can see that there are some regular changes. The rate of the watch suddenly starts dropping. There's some curve to it, which is not dramatic because it might look dramatic as a graph, but the rate itself is not changing dramatically. This is not really visible at first, but it becomes very visible when we speed up the video, because now you can see how basically the watch oscillates. What this could be is some irregularity in the wheel train. It could be that this is something that has to do with wear or something that has to do with the imbalance of certain wheels, for that matter, which is not dramatic. This is a relatively inexpensive movement. So what is the conclusion? In general, after 5 years of normal wear, I would say, this watch looks still pretty good. It seems pretty healthy, and so yeah, even after 5 years, these watches are pretty stable. The accuracy that you can expect from these watches is still pretty good. And if you're not experiencing the same things, despite the fact that your movement might look healthy, you can still regulate it and then check if that regulation actually holds up. If that changes back and becomes inconsistent again, that would probably also be a sign for service. But yeah, so far I'm very happy, and I'm very happy to be able to give this watch back to my brother without having to give him any restrictions or limitations on what he should or could do with the watch. If you liked this week's video, I encourage you to consider subscribing to my channel. That way you never miss a video, and I hopefully see you next week.